So we've got to second month, and I'm really, really happy about that. We have some great guests tonight. But before we get to our guests, I'm going to do a Breaking the Table. Today's Breaking the Table is called F is for Bicycle. Protected bike lanes bill approved by legislation, awaiting Governor Brown's signature. This is progress for men cyclists. I'm a woman who rides a bicycle in Los Angeles. In Los Angeles, only 17% of cyclists are women. The reasons for a lower cycling rate among women that many like to throw out is that we are afraid. That's ridiculous for many reasons. In the U.S., only 6.61% of people use cycling as their primary mode of transportation. So that's less than 1%. Are 99.39% of people in the U.S. afraid of what will happen to them if they venture out into the world with two wheels, or just the ones with vaginas? When you do urban planning from the perspective that doesn't consider feminism, even worse is an active sexist perspective. You limit the choices of half the population. Possibly being a black woman, I have the privilege of understanding that gender, class, and sustainability have an intersectionality. I've never been able to look at feminism from just the perspective of being a woman. I can't look at urban planning from just the perspective of a bike lane. Many policies limit women's choices in the U.S. Having a child in the U.S. takes away 7% of your earning power if you are a woman. Child care duties prevent more women from using a bicycle as a primary mode of transportation. Approximately 80% of adult women have children. 70% of women in dual income earning relationships are the primary caregiver of children. In new apartment and condo complexes, there are regulations in regards to parking, but no regulations in regards to on-site childcare. Employers also have no requirements to provide childcare on-site. Urban planning in the U.S. is sexist. In the U.S., we don't have universal childcare, and we don't have mandatory maternity leave or family leave. That leaves most women with children between the ages of 1 month and 16 years of age with few options in regards to transportation in Los Angeles. Los Angeles has 503 square miles. Most women with young children have to wake up at 5 or 6 a.m. so they can drop their child off at childcare and be at work at 9 a.m. Childcare in the U.S. is not guaranteed, and often it's not nearby places where women work. How do you ride a bike in that scenario? The above scenario is a middle-class, college-educated woman with a pretty static and sometimes more flexible schedule. I'm sure for the less privileged, that start time can be much earlier or much later. What magical bike lane can make Pasadena, Hollywood, and downtown LA 2 miles from each other? I'm not exactly sure how bike lanes and safety became the sole focus in the movement for alternative transportation beyond the car in the U.S. The founders of Los Angeles understand that getting people into cars wasn't just about building roads. It was about building homes that allowed people to use those roads. It was about spreading our city out. It was about creating a culture where you work at one place and you live in another. It was about compartmentalizing society. It was about suburbia. The countries with bike lanes and greater gender balances in regards to who is cycling also have major institutional supports in place. So it doesn't become about the right of able-bodied men having the freedom to be two-wheeled powered cars. In Denmark, the gender split among cyclists is 50-50. In the U.S., the split between cyclists is 75% men and 25% women. Denmark has 52 weeks of parental leave. Denmark has universal child care for all. That's not generous. That just makes sense if you want all members of your society to have a full life. Denmark also has several feminist legislations on the book. The Act on Equal Pay from 2006 and the Equal Treatment Act of 2006. If we want the bicycle and sustainable communities to be real choices for the entire community, we need to have a culture that supports families, offers flexibility in regards to labor and urban planning that isn't afraid of the F word. That F word being feminism. All right, that was Breaking the Table, so thanks so much. Right now, we are going to have Beyond Cole's Kent Minot. So, hello, Kent. How are you?
Just fine. How are you doing?
I am very good. And we're going to be talking about coal, which is an important issue, and a lot of people kind of don't realize how important coal is. Can you give us a little bit of information on the Beyond Coal movement?
Sure. The use of coal is going up around the world, but it's going down in the United States. The Beyond Coal campaign, I joined the campaign in January of 2010, and since that time, actually the campaign itself started back in 2005, but since it started, over 170 coal-fired plants have been decommissioned or slated for decommissioning in the country. So we're burning a lot less coal now than we did just a decade ago. And that means that the climate changing emissions of our country are starting to go down a little bit as well. Not as much as they should, but we are going down while those emissions are going up around the world. Now, think for a minute about how this affects us in LA. LA currently gets its a significant portion of its energy, I think it's about 39%, from two big, hugely polluting coal-fired plants, one in Arizona on the Navajo Indian Reservation and the other in Utah. And the city, as of March 2013, has committed itself to getting completely off coal by 2025. And we will be disconnecting from the Navajo plant next year.
Well, that's really good. I mean,
yes, and that was a great victory for us. But think about it for a moment from the point of view of someone who sits on the board of directors of a coal company, like Arch Coal or Peabody Coal. If you look up their stock chart, the stock chart basically looks like the trajectory of a guy who just jumped off a building. It's just, and that's because the demand for coal in the United States has gone down sharply because of closing all those plants. And the plants have closed for a variety of reasons, but a big reason is citizen activism. Citizens in various places have gotten tired of having asthma, heart attacks, cancer, spiking rates of all those diseases in communities that are downwind of those plants. And so they've started to close them. And what the coal companies have done in turn have said, oh my God, we've got to do something to find more customers for our stuff. So they've discovered that China and India are expanding their consumption of coal. So they said, let's sell the stuff to them. And as of 2000, I think in 2009, there was a thing called the PA report commissioned by LA City Council. And they saw that the rate of export of coal from the Gillette mine in the Powder River Basin, which is where we mostly get our coal from the IPP plant in Utah. That coal creates electricity that, well, we're using right now. And exports from that mine kept on going up year by year in an exponential curve. So
it's kind of going opposite of what it was going. So
exactly,
it's like, what's
right.
happening? Okay.
Exactly. So what's happening is the coal industry is shifting its customer base from domestic to foreign.
Okay. Yes.
And some really interesting things have been happening about that, because that means that they've got to get that coal. Now think of coal in Utah or Wyoming or Montana. There's big coal fields up there, and generally the coal is of what you would call a high quality. That's to say, a lot of coal plants got shut down because of acid rain. But this is low sulfur coal, so it causes acid rain less than the eastern Appalachian coal, which is high sulfur. Excuse me, I've just lost my train of thought there. But where all this is going is that the coal companies have to get that landlocked coal over mountains to ports and on boats across the Pacific.
Yes.
Now, how do they do that? California mostly is inhospitable to transoceanic freight.
Okay.
But we got two big ports. One's in San Francisco, and the other's right here in Long Beach and San Pedro.
Long Beach, they had a big hearing about that.
Hello, yes. Now, the two very interesting things happen right close to each other. First of all, in Boardman, Oregon,
Okay.
there is I think it's called the Morrow Port. Citizens up there and the Oregon state government put the kibosh on an enormous coal export terminal.
Okay.
They would put coal on boats and send them to the Far East.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a number of other northern ports. Now, if you look at a map of the country, you'll see that the Snake River and the Columbia River come down. The river is the border between Oregon and Washington.
Okay.
And at the mouth of that river, that's where Portland is. Well, Portland is a port.
Mm-hmm.
And they wanted to dredge and create massive supertanker ports at Cherry Point and other places. And Boardman would send the coal down the river on barges to the supertanker ports at Cherry Point. Now, massive citizen activism has basically arrested this move on the part of the coal industry to get its coal to China and India through the Columbia River.
Yeah, so that's good. That shows that, people activism can work.
Well, yeah, but right at the same time, the City Council of Long Beach voted unanimously to renew these contracts with William Koch's Oxbow Company to export coal for 15 more years out of Long Beach.
But isn't Long Beach supposed to be a green port?
Well, Long Beach has some reason to boast of its greenness.
Yes.
They've cut down particulate matter emissions from the port by using less diesel machinery and moving freight around, and they're more electric, and I think they're safer, and they have more worker protection. So kudos to them for that.
Okay.
But none of that has anything to do with the greenness of the stuff that they're moving through the port.
Yes.
So they have not decided to be green about the stuff they transport, only about how they transport it. And okay, I'll give them credit for that. But when you look at, I've got a couple of articles here. One is from the Long Beach Press Telegram, and the other is from, I don't even know what it's from. But studying this issue in Long Beach is very, very interesting because the unanimous vote by the city council was based on the fact, and by the way, Earth Justice, the Sierra Club, Citizens for a Better Environment, and one other group, Natural Resources Defense Council, they all had lawyers coming to Long Beach to argue this point.
Yeah, and I saw
that they are obliged to do an environmental quality review. Now, they weren't asking them to stop transporting coal and pet coke, by the way, the dirtiest fuel on the planet, large volumes of which have been going out of the Port of Long Beach now for decades. And so it's a little different from Oregon, because in Oregon, they wanted to create a new facility.
Okay.
And that was stopped. But here, the proposal is basically to renew a contract that had already been in place. Now, it's a little bit harder to stop an economic activity that's already going on because of the number of stakeholders. So that's the argument of the opposition.
Okay.
But really, all these environmental groups were asking for was an environmental quality review. Now,
and that's just a review to see if it's safe and to see if it's
to see what the environmental impacts
Okay.
would be, and
Okay.
and to talk about it. Now, the last time they did an environmental review was in 1992. So it's been over 2 decades now since they've really reviewed the environmental impacts of moving coal through the Port of Long Beach.
Yeah, that's over 20 years.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so there's a couple of things about that. Now, the city council and the commissioners of the port all accepted this idea that since there was an environmental quality review already in the past, and that there was no essential difference in quality between what they're doing now and what they had done in the past, that we didn't need a new environmental review. Now, I'll leave the lawyers to really say whether that's an acceptable argument or not.
Okay.
But this, there was a fellow named Jesse Martinez from the Coalition for a Safe Environment.
Okay.
And he made a really interesting point. He said the public was less educated and engaged on environmental issues 22 years ago. And I'd like to second that, especially because of the immense amount we've learned about coal in the interim.
Yes.
We now have statements from our governor of the state, from the mayor of LA, and from the president of the United States that dealing with climate change is an extremely high priority.
And just because something was safe 15 years ago, I mean, you look at, doctors said that cigarette smoking was completely safe.
Yeah.
You look in the, in the 50s. So, I mean, what does that mean?
More doctors
Yes,
recommend.
Yeah.
I remember those ads.
menthol cigarettes. They're cool. Yeah.
Well, in the face of the fact that now it's public policy to deal with climate change, you've got the commissioners of the port and the council members for the city of Long Beach basically saying, we don't need to worry about that. That's not our purview.
Yeah.
All we need to worry about is whether this little contract needs a new environmental review or not. So they're thinking in the narrowest, pinchiest possible terms about what their obligation to the public really is.
Yes.
And they're saying they don't have any obligation to the public who might live next to a railroad track where those coal cars come rumbling by and have to breathe the coal dust off of them.
Isn't the coal, like, they're uncovered? So they're going to be uncovered and be going through communities,
Yeah.
and they're uncovered. And plus, too, a lot of communities that maybe, just kind of like, with downtown and all that stuff, you have more people kind of moving kind of to Long Beach. A lot of younger families are moving to Long Beach that weren't maybe there before. And maybe you
point.
wouldn't have moved there if you had known that you're going to have a coal
Yes.
truck full of coal going through your house or going by your house.
And it's good you mention that because actually the amount of coal that gets shaken and blown off a coal car during transit is actually enormous. Sometimes they say as much as 50 tons worth of coal dust is blown off the coal car. Now, this is one of those things that people weren't talking about and it wasn't common knowledge back in 1992.
Exactly.
But what that means is that when a coal car goes rumbling down a river or across a bridge or over a bay, it is depositing coal dust in the waterway. In other words, it's putting a pollutant into the water. And this is enough to warrant an environmental review.
Yeah, because they say, I'm trying to look right here. They said something about coal and in regards to water pollution. It was like, but this is not the same thing.
Right.
But it's just about how, let's see here, coal-fired power plants, one of the world's biggest water polluters, even though it has nothing to do with that, but it's still all part of it's like this dirty energy. And
well, we should, if we got time, we'll
Yeah.
talk about that in a minute. But just talking about coal transportation and its impacts on water pollution, there's a tremendous amount of information now coming out that shows that waterways that are right next to railroad tracks where coal is transported end up with this black sludge, and it affects aquatic wildlife, and it affects fish. One of the reasons why the coal terminal in Boardman, Oregon was canceled was because the Native Americans that lived nearby said that it interfered with their fishing. And they have rights by treaty as a sovereign nation to fish in those waters. And anything that messes with their fishing, that's illegal. You can't do it.
I mean, I'm just amazed at the fact that the Long Beach City Council said because of a study 15 years ago. I mean, because I remember, when we talked to Linda Kite, 20 years, yeah, 22 years ago.
I remember your interview with Linda.
And back then, people thought it was okay to have lead paint, and kids were eating it, and they felt like it was sick. So this was also 20 years ago that we thought it was okay for people to paint their house with poison 20 years ago.
Well, I learned something about the pollution from coal when I
Yeah.
was organizing the Beyond Coal campaign. And a lovely young couple, kind of prosperous young people that wanted to start a family. And the young woman told me an interesting thing. She said that her doctor told her that she needed to avoid eating certain kinds of fish for 6 months before she conceived. So in order to go shopping for herself, she had to have an app on her iPhone, and she would enter in the name of the fish as she walked through the supermarket to see if it was something that she could eat. That's what a young woman of childbearing age today has to do. And the reason is mercury pollution from coal-fired power.
Oh, that's yeah. I actually did not know that. I was like, where does mercury come from? So now we know. That's amazing.
You remember Jan Powell on the city council?
Yes.
Now, she was an interesting council member because she, sometimes I think she annoyed the other council members because she kept changing her mind on things.
Yeah.
But I think what was happening was that she thought about things, and she was not friendly to the Beyond Coal campaign at the beginning. When we said we got to get off coal, everybody was saying, oh no, it'll raise utility rates, it'll drive business out of the city, we can't do that. And she accepted that contrary argument. But then when it was revealed that mercury from coal-fired power plants, what it does is it goes up the stack, it blows into the wind, and it comes down in rain, and then it gets washed into waterways. And when the mercury falls to the bottom of the waterways in all the muck on the bottom of a river or a pond, there's a microscopic animals turn it into methyl mercury, which is one of the most toxic nerve poisons on the planet. And that methyl mercury gets absorbed in the food chain and in the fish. So the fish swim down the river, the fish get eaten by other fish that swim out into the ocean, and the mercury ends up in your kid's tuna fish sandwich.
That is just unbelievable. I mean, it's believable.
And
but
when there were articles, articles in the paper came out about that, and when it was revealed that mercury that gets into fish can affect fetal development inside the womb, Jan Perry changed to a supporter of the Beyond Coal campaign in a hot minute and gave a very powerful and impassioned speech on our behalf in the City Hall Rotunda.
Oh my gosh, that's great.
And so I thought, wow, that's really interesting. So that's one of those things that we know now that we didn't know back then.
Exactly.
And so there's a breadth of understanding that we need to have from our elected representatives in order to actually deal with all this stuff, because to be an environmentalist, you need to be possessed of an enormous amount of information. And it's kind of difficult to, I mean, you go and you study up on all this stuff and you start to acquire some of it, but then you realize, how can I help my fellow citizens know all the stuff they need to know?
Just on that note, and I feel like we could talk so much longer, but before we wrap it up, what can people do if they want to get involved? Like, what's the alternative to coal, and what can people do if they want to get involved in the Beyond Coal movement?
Well, first of all, the alternative to coal is renewables. And just this year, I find every major environmental group is saying we need a carbon-free economy. That means we got to get our energy, the lights in this room and the electricity that's sending our voices out has got to be created by not burning stuff. Solar, wind, and efficiency are the three main things, and they're all happening in LA right now. LA is getting off coal. The business contracts have all been signed, and it's settled law. We're going to do it. Other cities are doing it as well. And those are the alternatives, basically renewables and efficiency. Efficiency measures can make up for an enormous amount of coal-fired electricity, perhaps 30%.
What's the efficiency measures?
Efficiency measures are when you stuff insulation into the attic. And actually, I own a house in Knoxville, Tennessee, and I'm having an energy efficiency upgrade done on it right now. And so there's a lot of measures you can do involving ducting and how the air moves through the house. But then you can put on a cool roof that reflects a lot of heat back and double glazed windows. And the utility pre-craft training program through IBEW Local 18 is doing that on low-income and middle-income housing right now in LA.
And what could, where could they go to find this information?
LADWP website. You can sign up for it. In fact, they're having Green the Block events. I think they're having one in Watts this month.
Oh,
And you
okay.
can go to a Green the Block event. LADWP will be there. You can fill out an application for an energy efficiency upgrade on your house. And most of the things they'll do for free. They'll come in and insulate your attic and put weather stripping on your doors and windows, and you'll pay less on your utility bill.
Well, thank you so much, Kent, for letting us know about all this great information. I will definitely put things on the website, on the Blk Grrrl website, so that people can know how to get in touch with you, so
Great.
they can know about Beyond Coal and get in touch. And thank you so much.
Well, it's great to be here.
Okay. And what's this?
This is a movie that I'm screening this coming Monday night at Park La Brea.
Okay.
What the heck is a labor union? I'm going to have environmentalists and labor activists talking together. September 8th, 7:30 p.m. at the Multimedia Theater in Park La Brea.
Oh, cool.
475 South Curzon Avenue.
Okay, it's 475 South Curzon Avenue at September 8th at 7:30, but I'll make sure to tweet this out to everybody.
Great. Oh,
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Okay.
Kitty hungry, it's time to pick up the pace in the human race. The faster you run, the better you place. You can either chase or get chased. We in the age of the macho woman and the feminine man. Everybody know who leading the dance. I ain't looking for no millionaire. I just want it with a full head of hair. I like my meat rare, I swear I'm my underwear. It's just time for me to flat out go there. I'll be your cougar, baby, get in my car. I'll scratch you up, but I won't leave a scar. I'll lure you to my den with lollipops and candy bars, and we can make plans for your 21st.
We know there are many choices of internet radio, and the staff and hosts of LA Talk Live would like to thank you for choosing the internet's hottest destination for the most eclectic sound and invigorating talk. This is LA Talk Live. We are more than just talk.
It started out like a totally normal day.
I love you.
I mean, I guess I was a little sweaty and I was definitely sore. I thought I had gas. Turns out I was having a heart attack. Heart disease is the #1 killer of American women. So now I take care of myself and tell the other women in my life to do the same. Make it your mission to save your life and the lives of the women you love. Find out more from the American Heart Association at goredforwomen.org.
Hi, this is Tika Lark-Fleming inviting you to join me every Thursday at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for MP Chronicle Presents The Blk Grrrl Show. Join us as we discuss politics, pop culture, and the other side of Black LA. So don't forget to tune in to MP Chronicle Presents The Blk Grrrl Show every Thursday at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, exclusively on latalklive.com. You can also catch us on iTunes Radio R&B or watch us on Ustream.tv. Reality radio handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Hey y'all, I'm Shaquem Williams and I'm the host of The Shock Factor here on LA Talk. We broadcast to the world every Friday at 8 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. Live music, live performances. We're just live. Chef Momo, Erica Ash, and once again your host Shaquem Williams. So come join every Friday here at LA Talk Live, the world leading broadcasting internet radio station. The Shock.
Hey everybody, it's your man Sabir Bey back on your airwaves, inviting you to join us every Tuesday, 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on the Sabir Bey Show, discussing history, law, and hip-hop. Every Tuesday, 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, the Sabir Bey Show, exclusively on latalklive.com. You also can catch us on iTunes Radio and R&B, Live 365, Radio Flag, and now Stitcher Radio. Or watch us and listen directly at latalklive.com. Reality radio, handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
When I see you, I lose all sensation in my pussy. It's not
Hello, we're back on the Blk Grrrl Show, and I have Black Women for Wellness, Chrissy. So very happy to have you here. We're going to be talking about sex positive education and the Black Get Sexy.
Yeah, Get Smart Before You Get Sexy, our conference on September 23rd of this month. So it's upcoming.
It's upcoming. So the first thing I want to know is, can you give me a little rundown of what Black Women for Wellness is? Yeah,
definitely. First of all, I just want to say thank you so much for having us here with you today.
Oh, no.
We're Black Women for Wellness. I'm Chrissy, a current program coordinator there. And we're committed to the health, well-being, and empowerment of all Black girls and women. And for the last 17 years in Leimert Park and through South Los Angeles, we've been, doing education, advocacy, leadership development, as well as community-based research. And also just excelling in creating spaces for Black women to really come together and talk about important health, political issues, and current events that are going on that can definitely affect our health. And one of those spaces that we have monthly is actually Sisters at 8, which every second Friday we come together, we have breakfast together, and we talk about, what's going on. Mm-hmm. And next Friday, September 12th, is actually when we have our next one. It's going to be at the Department of Water and Power on Crenshaw. So you can come learn about the propositions that will be on the upcoming November election.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
No, I've actually been to the Sisters at 8.
Yeah,
I've been to the breakfast. It's really cool. And it's about a bunch of women kind of get together and talk about various topics. Because even though it's Black Women for Wellness, you guys talk about politics also, not just health, but you talk about, because this is kind of a whole universal, complete thing. So let's talk a little bit about the Get Smart Before You Get Sexy.
Yeah. So it's a campaign that we'll be launching at our conference again on September 23rd at the California Endowment, which is right in downtown Los Angeles. Mm-hmm. And besides being a fun campaign name to say and kind of a bit empowering, as you say, get smart before you get sexy, basically the heart of it is making sex smart and smart sexy. And at Black Women for Wellness, we believe that young Black women should have all the resources and information they need to be able to make their own healthy decisions about sexual and reproductive health. Mm-hmm. And currently, in terms of the state that we're living in, Los Angeles is a hotbed for sexually transmitted infections. Chlamydia and gonorrhea are among the highest in the nation. But also, when you do look at those figures and really break them down, Black girls continue to show the highest rates. And chlamydia and gonorrhea are both very preventable and also curable infections. So if Get Smart Before You Get Sexy, we really see it as a space we need to shift culture and how we talk about sex and sexuality to really tackle these disparities.
Okay.
And it comes with changing the norms and attitudes around sex and sexual practices, because right now the fear and the shaming that's occurring just really isn't promoting healthy spaces for young people to find education and resources and build their knowledge. And it doesn't work when you're shaming people about wanting to find sexual pleasure or identifying along the spectrum of sexuality. That just doesn't work, and it doesn't make an impact in terms of the disparities that we're experiencing.
So that's kind of like part of what sex positive education is. Kind of like it's kind of taking away from the, don't have sex at all, like the unrealistic don't have sex at all, and kind of we're changing to people have sex, you should do it safely, and that's kind of like what you're doing in regards to.
Yeah, sex positive is definitely creating an inclusive space where everyone's experience values is valued. You're not shamed for the questions that you might ask. And also at the end of the day, sex positivity is also never denying people the control to make their own decisions connected to their health. Mm-hmm. Whether you want to be sexually active, but also especially if you don't decide to be sexually active. Mm-hmm. So really tackling those issues and just making sure that Black women feel in control of their sexuality, especially since the media and just the images that we see, and even just the images that society has, which is a small representation of us, really can dramatically affect how we're viewed and oftentimes how we're silenced in this society.
Mm-hmm. And let's see here, we have, so that's why sex positive education is important for Black women. I mean, I guess because us having agency and being able to decide what we want, there's so much judgment in regards to that kind of, I don't know. I mean, I think that's a really positive thing that you guys are doing in regards to sex positive education. I mean, how do you think? I mean, are you guys going to try to get this into the schools or?
Yeah, it's definitely a multi-layered campaign.
Okay.
So at the conference on September 23rd, we're going to be launching the website, which is kind of the first interface of how people get engaged with Get Smart Before You Get Sexy. So having accurate medically accurate information on our website in regards to birth control, sexually transmitted infections, what's healthy, what's unhealthy signs with your body, but then also creating a space for women to come together, and men included as well, to talk about and bring up issues like, how can I communicate with my partner that I want to use a condom, or how can I acknowledge that I don't feel safe, and what resources can I find, and what maybe healing practices can I find, or like developing sisterhood as well.
And then I was thinking about this. I saw this new, what is it? This new what's it called? This California Yes Means Yes in regards to consent. SB 967. So I mean, I think that's amazing because, you know, in regards to, it's kind of like no means no, but it's kind of like no, yes means yes. If somebody wants to have sex, then they have to be, you know. So
yeah, it definitely has to be a fully consensual experience. And whether someone says no or their body languages acknowledge no or a sense of uncomfortableness, like you should feel comfortable talking to your partner and being like, do you feel safe right now? Is there something else that you'd want me to do? Can you just communicate? Just really effective communication is definitely key in sex in general, but also in terms of how we communicate with our health provider and making sure that we feel safe and comfortable asking them questions and that they can be aware of our needs as well. Communication is just key to a lot of aspects of just education and sexuality as well.
And I like the fact that also too we're coming to a point where we're moving society from it's up to the girl to say, you know, up to the girl or the woman to say no. It's up to, you know, there's like actually no responsibility, like men have no responsibility at all. Yeah. And we're kind of moving away from that. And also, you know, because we can't really, if we don't know these different, you know, like to me, I'm still amazed about the Yes Means Yes campaign, because
I'm actually just hearing about that right now.
I'm just because I've never even thought like, oh yeah, instead of saying no, like how to say no, that's totally rephrasing it. That's totally giving women and girls so much more power, because you don't have to like say no in a, you know, that's a more, I don't know. I think it's a more feminist way of looking at it. Let's see here in regards to our questions. Look at this here. I just love that we have all this. You know, I love that you guys are doing this really great thing. Are there any special people that are going to be at the conference or anything like that?
Yeah. So the conference is definitely an exciting space. Not only for launching the campaign, but we're gonna have a variety of people coming directly from Los Angeles, like Charles Drew University as well as UCLA, but also bringing people from outside of California, such as Dr. Trisha Rose, who is a huge in the face of like looking at hip hop and especially examining it in terms of the role of women and how images affect not only our Black culture, but also specifically Black women and their health. So she'll be talking about that. And then another interesting is because we are creating more spaces where our voices matter as Black women and having these conversations where we feel that at the end of the day, we can define who we are and that our choices and decisions, we're in control of those and we're respected for that, regardless of what it is. And one woman in particular, her name is Tawane Hines. She's the author of Funky Brown Chick, which is a cool, like sex positive environment, blog space. And she's based out of New York, so she'll be coming in from DC to share on how to get your voice heard when oftentimes as Black people and as people of color or even queer, our voices are oftentimes marginalized or not included in politics in different spaces.
So that sounds like a very exciting conference, and I think it's, you know, what time is it again? What time? But what date is it again?
Yeah, it's Tuesday, September 23rd.
Okay.
And registration does start at 8:30, and the event does go till 6. Okay. But from 4:30 to 6, that's actually the launch happy hour for Get Smart Before You Get Sexy.
Oh, so we can have happy hour, so we can get drunk before we get sexy?
You know, I mean. You're gonna have some fun. There'll be some music, of course, but
Okay.
still able to talk openly and always be respectful of what people have to say.
Okay.
And respectful of the space. But
Okay.
definitely you can have some fun there.
Okay.
At the conference.
And then also too, the Sisters at 8 is September 12th.
Yeah, it's next Friday.
Next Friday. It's really great. It's at 8:30. You guys should come. I go there all the time. I'm also a member of Black Women for Wellness, so I don't know. I should be like to be fair. Actually, I'm a member of the Sierra Club and I'm a member of Black Women for Wellness. I think I'm a member of every single club in Los Angeles that will allow me to be a member
Definitely.
of the club.
And anyone else can be a member at Black Women for Wellness.
Okay.
Yeah, you can just give us a call at 323-290-5955.
Yeah. And thank you. Go ahead.
Yeah, and then tickets as well for the conference will be on Eventbrite. So you can just look up Black Women for Wellness or Get Smart Before You Get Sexy.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for talking to us. Well, actually, not us because it's just me. Thank you so much for talking to me, Chrissy.
No,
And,
definitely. It's been a pleasure.
I really appreciate it. You giving all this great information.
Definitely. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Saturday, I can't recall a Saturday. Gray winter weather in the end of May. I watched my lover just walk away. Saturday, I can't recall a Saturday. Are we supposed to take our love and just throw it away? Or can we make up, baby? You know again. 'Cause it's not a good day for a breakup. Let's get together and make up. Agree to disagree. Make a list of everything you dislike about me. Put it on a piece
We know
of
there are many
paper.
choices in internet radio, and the staff and hosts of LA Talk Live would like to thank you for choosing the internet's hottest destination for the most eclectic sound and invigorating talk. This is LA Talk Live. We are more than just talk.
Hi, this is Blk Grrrl, and I'm inviting you to join us every Wednesday from 5 to 6 p.m. The Dialogue, Real Talk, Real People. Join us as we discuss the topics that are relevant to today's generational leaders. So don't forget to tune in to The Dialogue, Real Talk, Real People, every Wednesday from 5 to 6 p.m. right here on latalklive.com. You can also catch us on iTunes Radio R&B, Live 365, Radio Flag, and now Stitcher Radio. Or watch and listen directly at latalklive.com. Reality radio handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Hey y'all, I'm Shaquem Williams, and I'm the host of The Shock Factor here on LA Talk. We broadcast to the world every Friday at 8 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. Live music, live performances. We're just live. Chef Momo, Erica Ash, and once again, your host, Shaquem Williams. So come join us every Friday here at LA Talk Live, the world-leading broadcasting internet radio station. The Shock Factor.
Hi, I'm Ro Williams, and I would like to invite you to join GospelRhythms.com every Sunday at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for our show, GospelRhythms.com Talk Live Radio. Join us as we celebrate Christians around the world in all genres of entertainment, as well as highlight interest stories on men and women who are making a difference and impacting their community. So don't forget to tune in to GospelRhythms.com Talk Live Radio exclusively on LATalkLive.com. You can also catch us on iTunes under R&B or watch us live on Ustream TV. We are reality radio handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is GospelRhythms.com Talk Live Radio on LATalkLive.com. We're more than just talk. We're heaven's party here on earth.
Hello, we're back with the Blk Grrrl Show, and we have another guest. We have so many guests today. So I'm sorry. I have one of my favorite people at LA Talk Live.
Oh my God!
And we have Shakim here, and he's a host of a show. Wait. Let me do something really quick.
There you go.
I gotta do this. So we can both be the same.
This is how we roll.
That's how we roll. Yeah, that's how we roll. So thank you for being on the show.
I want to just say first, welcome. To LA Talk Live, and what a awesome, interviewer you are. What an awesome person, and what a you're bringing a lot to the station, and Richard only have some of the best things to say.
Okay.
When he's talking bad about me, but my whole thing is that first of all, want to welcome you to the station, and what a wonderful job that you're doing.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you.
We see you.
Yes, you see me. Okay, now I take off my sunglasses because I can't see now. Do we have a caller? What's going on? Why do we have a caller?
Well, I'm just saying.
Because you're so popular.
Well, no, you are.
Yeah, okay. So are we supposed to take the caller? I've never done this before. No one's ever called the show.
Well,
I don't really know how this works.
Well, caller, what's your name and where are you calling from?
Hello?
Lena Cole Dennis from Compton.
Hi.
Oh, it's Lena Cole. Oh, I know Lena. Hi, Lena. How are you?
See, I told you it was all
You
about
know
you.
me.
I actually know her. That's good. I was afraid of who it might be. Do you have any questions?
I don't have any questions or anything. Just congratulations. And I was able to call in, and I'm going to try and do it online. But I saw this number, and I said, well, I'm just going to call so I don't miss too much.
Yeah. She's doing such an awesome job.
I did it wrong. Next time I'll do it correctly.
This is the PR queen of LA, of Black LA. Well, actually, of all of LA. Any art event you go to, Lena Cole Dennis is here. She's like the star of the Morningside Park Chronicle, my newspaper also.
Oh, my God. So all you have to do is just go to latalklive.com, and you can see her right there. It'll just pop up. It'll just pop up.
All right, I'll try it again.
All right, thank you.
Okay, you guys, enjoy.
Right,
thank you so much.
Okay, bye-bye.
Okay.
I told you it's all about you. You're
It's all about me.
Yeah.
But we got to get to you. You do so much. You're a producer. You have a band, Project DNA. And what are all the things that you do? Tell us about yourself.
Well, very briefly, I love talking about other people, as you will soon see. But in reference to myself, I do have a show here every Friday at 8 o'clock. I've been doing one of the, luckily, been one of the founding DJs or VDJs or, how would we call it, internet disc jockeys.
Okay.
Here on LA Talk Live, called The Shock Factor.
Okay.
We're here every Friday at 8 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. And one of the reasons, maybe I'll break it down. One of the reasons why I ended up doing the show was because that, I'm an information junkie. But at the same time, I've been in the music industry for a while. And I'm also advocating for content providers. So we use out-of-the-box thinking to pervade or give this our thought process out there, where it's educating, out of the box educating, but doing it from a humorous, funny kind of style. So some people like to call it a shock jock, but we really don't shock people to the extent where we're giving out information that they may not be privy to.
Well, I think the thing that's great about you is that you've stopped me from stealing music. Owing to you, I actually buy music now. I was like, oh, yes, this is true. Someone has provided this music, and we should actually buy this music and not just in order for people to make money and, provide, continue to create music. If musicians can't make money.
Well, this is what I say. Imagine how many people will be out of work if the people that did music or that do music stop doing it. Like, how many people that you think would be without a job? So many people and so many avenues. But those people those are the peoples, and those are the ones that are being literally, I don't want to say they're being misused. The system has misused them from the conception of it. And now, because of technology, we're able to do things differently. We're able to take more control. So when I started my show, I wanted to be an advocate for that and content providers, not only just music, but just as well as information, providing enough information. I look at it, for instance, like a plate. As you can see, I love talking. I really don't like to talk about myself, but I will in this instance, just for you. But it's, we like to provide a plate of food for people.
Okay.
And you're able to pick and choose what you want on that plate, and whatever you don't want, you can discard.
Okay.
So we have these truths, or we like to call facts. And we present them in a way that you can understand it, overstand it, however you can, that whatever way you're receiving it. And for the people, they be able to make a conscious decision about how they want to move in whatever direction they want to move. Because right now, more than ever, I was having a great conversation with Chrissy, right? And I was telling her one of the things is, and why I respect you and what you do and why I applaud you, is because that's what our relationships have been severed, in our community between people that look like us.
Okay. You're talking about black people.
Right. Well, I don't like to say the word black.
Okay.
Because I don't, that's more of an adjective.
Okay.
It's not like a noun, you know what I mean? That more so is more descriptive.
Okay.
Believe saying something, but it's not telling who we are.
Well, we both have sunglasses and dreadlocks, so I want people to make sure that they know what you're talking about.
Well, your sunglasses are on. But my whole thing is that we need to really learn how to communicate better with each other, learn how to deal with each other again, and we have to break down these barriers. One of the things is content, music, and not only just music, but other things as well as far as images that's being portrayed out here. And we have to break down these barriers and bring in real, beautiful images that uplift us in a capacity where we can help someone else other than ourselves.
Yeah, so you're actually helping people, because you're always bringing in musicians and bringing in artists that I guess musicians, producers, people who are in the music industry, and kind of helping them promote themselves. I mean, can we talk about your band that you have?
Well, I have a band called Project DNA, and the reason why I call it DNA is because DNA is the building block or the root of where we are, or what or the code that's given for us to be who we are in this physical reality. Right. So DNA has a past, a present, and also has a future within us. If we're able to go within that, we can find it. And so in my path, in this life, in this journey, in this time, I came up with some songs that demonstrate positive songs, that demonstrate positive thinking, positive learning, positive doing. And so I wanted to, other than portraying something more so ratchet, I wanted to portray something more positive to our people that would have them thinking, and what they call, with some commissions, or what they call Egyptians, our Sunum Bunum, our supreme good, our supreme God that's within us. So having those frequencies resonate around the world, and having a platform like LA Talk Live and the LA Talk Live network, and like your show, like my show, we can broadcast. Not only are we broadcasting to the world, we're broadcasting to these 150 countries, but we're also broadcasting to each and every city within the United States here in America. So I just thought it was an incredible way to get the word out.
Okay. Well, that's great. But I mean, how did you get into music? I mean, what you went to Central State? You went to Historical Black College, right?
Yes, in Wilberforce, Ohio.
Okay. You're from Ohio, right?
Well, I'm from New Jersey.
Oh, from New Jersey.
But I was raised, I moved out of there.
Okay.
Our parents and let me tell you how I got into music. Very briefly. My great grandfather I was blessed to know, was a Baptist minister. And so he grew up in the church. I grew up in the church, and then I learned music through him. My mom was on the road. She was a R&B artist in the 70s and stuff like that. So I was always in the studio learning. So when I went to school, and before I graduated, I kind of graduated with a double degree of music and education. I learned the aspects of, learning how to sing, Italian, German, French, and all those things, and just a whole appreciation of music. So what I wanted to do in that time frame, because I was around some of the best, incredible musicians in the world that went to my school and stuff like that, it was just like incredible. It was like, oh my God. So I wanted to go and present something different. So I went all around the world and trying to find my sound.
Okay.
Right. And couldn't necessarily, but I was finding myself doing other people. And until I had a chance to go within self and find.
Doing other people's music?
Well, yeah, I was, for the most part doing,
okay,
not doing me.
Okay.
But doing Luther Vandross, Babyface, this, that, and the other.
We got another caller.
Yeah.
So let's see who else has
Hello?
called. Yes. How are you?
Caller, what's your name and where you calling from?
I just wanted, if it's any possible way, I was just very appreciative of Shaquem Williams on Kika Lark's show, and if there's any chance of being able to talk before they break, that would be great.
Oh, awesome.
Okay. Well, yeah. Well, but I'm not sure. Do you have a question, sir?
I just wanted to comment on how I appreciate his music. I'm sorry. I just want to make sure it wasn't me. I used to work in the music business at EMI and Delicious Final and Priority and everything like that. I'm a resident of Inglewood.
Inglewood.
And
so it's just for you.
I just wanted to say that it's a great show. But if it's possible, I'd like to be able to say that live.
You are saying it live right now, sir.
You are live right now, all day, going out to the whole world. We really appreciate you calling in, and such kind words, and we really appreciate that and your support.
Well, it's my pleasure, and I just have to say that I find it notable that you're wearing a shirt that you have a B-25 Mitchell, so it's made in Inglewood, and now you're on a show being hosted by a beautiful person from Inglewood who has a brilliant show.
Brilliant.
Well, thank you so much. Keep listening. Goodbye. I'm sorry. I didn't mean it like that. I didn't mean it in a rude, nasty way. That just came off that way. It just came out that way.
So to make a long story short, T, is that, I got into music to make a change.
Okay.
And the change is that I wanted to do something more positive and bring a better light to the music community, where we wasn't getting a fair shake, where they were telling us that we only had to do ratchet stuff and that's all we can do to make money. Okay. And so I, got out of, to the point where I was so mad with the music industry, started, doing other things like, learning, building computers and programming, and to the point where I started doing all kind of other stuff, right? Business stuff as well. So right now we're here to help. We're here to, shed, and be an example of light and energy for people where they can see, like, not only are we just, we're not just talking about it, we're doing.
Yes, you're doing a lot of great stuff. Is there anything that you're doing in the next month or so, or week, or tomorrow?
Well, I just got finished scoring a movie called Kill Capone, a transformation movie which has some of the most incredible actors in there. I can't think of any of their names. They'll kill me right now. Ironically, Kill Capone, but no, the shock factor is taking off. LA Talk Live. I'm doing more, getting ready to start performing again with my band, Project DNA. More than likely we'll be back on Sunset.
I can play the tambourine, so you need that.
Well, what I really need is somebody to be on stage doing jumping jacks. Man, if you can get on stage and play the tambourine and do jumping jacks, that's all I need for my entertainment. Trust me. One of the songs that he was playing earlier that we came into was it's called "Fucking with Me," and it's based off some of the trials and things that we kind of go through.
There's no dirty language here.
Oh, messing with me.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I apologize. I'm totally out of the.
That's okay. That's okay. I'm just messing with you.
Really? Come on, man. Made me feel all sensitive. Richard be doing that.
Well, you know what? Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you so much.
I appreciate that. I appreciate you coming on the show. And also, I came to your show first, and that was really great.
You got to come back.
And it was really entertaining. Your show is actually your show's pretty entertaining. And I was going to say, before we leave, my virtual music guest today was Little Jackie. Her album Queen of Prospect Park is coming out September 30th, and she'll be kind of like the virtual music guest for the rest of the month.
All right, Jackie.
Yeah, so she's in Brooklyn. She's my little friend out there on Facebook.
Hi, Brooklyn.
So, yeah, it's kind of like Inglewood, you know. I call that Inglewood East.
Right,
Inglewood East, all right? That's what I want to say. But we had a great show.
Great time.
Kent was great. You were great. Chrissy was great.
Right.
I'm sorry, that sounds really strange. I'm like really too enthusiastic. No, maybe I should be.
But you are. You should be, because you're doing a great job.
Yeah.
And you bringing great energy.
Yeah, well, I mean, and that's true. I am bringing great interest.
Well, I don't want to toot my own horn. First of all, ladies and gentlemen, I'm the best.
Yes.
Just let everybody know.
So next Thursday, that's when my show is at 7:00. We're gonna have Dick and Sharon. No, don't laugh. That's his name. Of LA Progressive. And we're going to have Vega, darling, of the Grrrl movie. So 7:00 Pacific time, 10:00 Eastern Standard Time. That's not funny. On LA Talk Live. And also use the hashtag Blk Grrrl, Blk Grrrl. Or follow my show on Twitter, Blk Grrrl Show. You know me, Tika Lark-Fleming. I'm really easy to find. All right. Thank you so much. That's the Blk Grrrl Show for today.
I love you.
Bye-bye.
I always wonder, right?
I'm a piece of sugar cane, and when I kick my legs, I got real bomb. My great-grandpa was a blues lover, but he be rocking his moonshine to Baby King and Jimmy Ray. Rock on now. They say I'm different, and that's why they say I'm strange. I'm talking about Big Mama Funk. Talk about it, talk about it. I'm talking about Lightning Hopkins. Talk about it, talk about it. I'm talking about Howlin' Wolf. Talk about it, talk about it. I'm talking about Albert King. Chuck Berry. Chuck Berry. Chuck Berry. When I was sweet 16. And that's why they say I'm different. And that's why you think I'm strange. I'm talking about T-Bone Walker. Talk about it, talk about it. I'm talking about Muddy Waters. Talk about it, talk about it. I'm talking about Lead Belly, Sonny Terry, Brownie Boogie, Son House, and Freddie Kane. That's a smear. That's a smear. Oh, hey. Oh, Bo Diddley, have you heard her?
Reality radio handcrafted for your listening pleasure. You're tuned in to LA Talk Live, where we're more than just talk.